So, hello and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight Sessions where we have conversations with disability changemakers. I'm really excited to have on the show Katherine Slattery, the Program Director for Starnet at the Center. Kathy, how are you going today?
Doing very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, Kathy, I've met your organization a couple of times, but I'd love to if you could tell the listeners and viewers a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you. I am the program director at Starnet. We are a project of our Illinois State Board of Education, and our role is to provide training and support for teachers of young children who have special education needs, as well as the school administrators, early care and education providers, and families who have young children with special needs in Illinois. Starnet is a statewide project, and my project represents the suburbs north and west of Chicago. We provide our training in a variety of ways, including workshops and webinars on topics related to young children who may have some special education needs. We have been doing webinars for the past 18 months due to COVID. And we're just recently now starting to be back in schools supporting teachers and administrators when appropriate.
Amazing. And Kathy, what in your background prompted you to work at Starnet, or how did you end up in this role?
That's a great question. Number one, I started out as the sister of my younger brother has disabilities. So I was raised in a family where disability was a part of our community. I moved into work as a special education teacher and worked in special education, working with young children and their families, including working with infants and their parents ages birth to 3. I used to participate in Starnet activities as a teacher and as a provider. And so when the position became available with Starnet, I said, I want to be a part of this because I learned so much from the supports that they gave me when I was a teacher and an early intervention provider. So I've been with Starnet now for 19 years. First as one of the resource specialists, and then for about 10 years as the director of the project.
Amazing. And it sounds like it's a real full circle moment that you went through, kind of with your family story and then now working in Starnet. And what is your role in the organization? I know it's a program director, but that could mean a lot of different things. What does your day-to-day look like in achieving your mission?
Well, I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful, talented staff who work with me, and they all have wonderful backgrounds in early childhood and early childhood special education. And with all of us, we have many opportunities to provide workshops and trainings, or we can contract with experts in the field on providing workshops and webinars for families. In addition, we work in classrooms, helping teachers with their classroom environment, with classroom behavioral support, with learning opportunities for children. So we'll go on site as well as virtually. We also do a lot of family support activities. We do webinars and workshops for families. We help with some parent support groups to bring families together who may be isolated unless they can find other folks who have similar situations. So we do webinars, workshops. We consult with families regarding special education opportunities and their rights as parents of young children with disabilities. So every day is a little different. One day I may be in a school, the next day we might be doing a webinar, the next day we might be consulting with families or with teachers or school administrators on the phone. So it's a very wide range of opportunities day to day.
Amazing. It sounds like you're doing really a grand scope of work. How has kind of COVID affected your work? You mentioned that you've been transitioning to kind of webinars the past 18 months. How has that been? How has that been received kind of to the community that you serve? And how's that been on a personal level as well?
Well, COVID certainly changed things for us as it did with everyone else. We moved from doing majority face-to-face workshops and webinars, workshops mostly, to 100% webinars for the past 18 months. Starting in August, we are doing some work within schools again, and but are maintaining our webinars now probably through next spring, simply because the situation changes regularly, and we need to be, cautious at all times about health and safety. COVID, one of the things we've done is focus on social emotional supports and development for young children. When we know that children and their teachers have been communicating on screen for the past year, in some situations, year plus, we know that that can have an impact on children's development. So we have done a lot of work on helping teachers feel more comfortable in using online as an education tool. We've also done a lot of work helping them understand the impact of COVID on children and families in terms of trauma, in terms of opportunities lost for experiences. And we think that's important for teachers to know and understand. Now, most of our classrooms are back looking fairly similar to what they did pre-COVID, with the exception, of course, of masking and ventilation and distancing and those sorts of things. But teachers are very happy to have children back in school. And the kids do great with masks. They wear their mask, they run, they play, they talk, they have fun with each other, and they're learning even wearing a mask. So that part of it seems to be the least of the trouble with getting kids back in school. But it is stressful for teachers to manage all these things at the same time as do all the work they typically do.
And that's such a dense answer that you gave me, and it's really interesting because it kind of takes me to my next question. Is COVID's kind of changed a lot of the way that we interact with the internet, or even how we interact with our physical places, or even how we provide services otherwise. So everyone's going to have a different definition of accessibility. So what does accessibility mean to you? What does accessibility mean to Starnet and the center? And do you think that definition of accessibility has changed over the past year and a half?
COVID definitely has impacted accessibility, and one of the things we felt the need to do as a part of using the web even more in sharing information with teachers and administrators and families and others was to make sure that we had our website and our training opportunities accessible to professionals and to families. So our website now is going to be much more accessible using some of the tools from accessiBe. And we think that's important because we have professionals as well as families who come to us needing some support or some adaptation with gathering information. Families should not have to struggle to find out information to help their children who have disabilities. It should be there and available to them. And with the tools we now have to offer on our website, we'll be better able to give them the support that they need. We already do closed captioning for many of our webinars. We provide sign language support for those who are interested in attending an event. We'll set up a system for that. And we just need to make sure we're completely accessible in terms of getting that information out to families. So this is really important. Families have been isolated over the past 18 months, and our goal is to make sure we can get the best information out to our families and to our teachers and to our school staff that we possibly can. In addition, another thing
I really couldn't...
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I couldn't agree more with that notion when you were talking about closed captioning and some of the changes made on your website and the sign language options. It's really important that you have just a multitude of different options because everyone learns differently and everyone consumes content differently as well.
Correct. And one of the things we do as folks working in early childhood special education is one of the main goals of early childhood special education is for children and their families to have access to high quality early education, to be able to participate in all of the activities of other children their age and their families, and to get it within the supports that they need. So building in any sort of visual support, auditory support, other sort of support is needed. Access, participation, and supports are the hallmark of early childhood inclusive practices in order to make sure that all children have the opportunities they need, and it's equally important for the adults who are supporting them, whether teachers or family members or others.
And just on kind of like that similar note, I wanted to ask if you interact with business owners, and if you do interact with business owners, what are some of the advices that you give to them in terms of catering more towards the disability community?
Most of our work is done with school systems or early care and education programs. School systems obviously know that it is part of their mandate to serve young children with special education needs, and so just continuing to support them in their efforts is important. Early care and education, we're continuing to support our child care programs as they struggle with the impact of COVID in not only serving the general population, but also serving children with special education needs. So for us to make available the sorts of opportunities for them to get training and technical assistance is really important, because if we can't help them, they can't be more comfortable accepting children with disabilities into their program, which we know should be a right of all children.
And then thank you for that answer, Kathy. I think that's really an important message and takeaway for kind of the listeners here about the importance of kind of access and inclusion on really all elements of society. Kathy, again, I want to say thank you for being here with me and taking a lot from this conversation. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much. It's been a pleasure. Bye.